I made a statement years ago where I said mini LED was the future, and here we are. Mini LED TVs are taking over the market. I don't know how many people are looking for just your lower end LCD television when you can have a TV that has up to 3000 nits of peak brightness, a TV that has 4 HDMI 2.1 inputs, a TV that will support AMD Premium FreeSync and 165 Hertz using variable refresh rate. I think this is probably one of the best TVs out there for the price. And on this video, I'm going to show you some picture tests so we can figure out if it's the right one for you. Let's get into it. Right after this video, go check out the unboxing video where I put everything together. I showed the rear panels, the speaker system, and I did some gameplay and showed you all the settings for the gaming. With that being said, let's talk about this TV. Now, first of all, this is a 65-inch, but it is available from a 50-inch all the way to a 100-inch if you have the space in your home. And just watching sports like YouTube TV, I can say that the motion on this TV is really good, and I did some tests on it to prove that statement a little bit later on in the video. But if we go through here, we can just find a couple of stations here and see how well it performs. And overall, it seems to have a great picture, and I think for the average person, you'll be very satisfied at the results of this television. With all the technology in this TV, I find that movies is where you're going to get the very best experience. Now, I'm using high bitrate content, and movies can be variable if you're using IPTV or older sources, but this TV does some decent upscaling, and we'll go over that a little bit later in the video. The biggest thing that really stands out to me is that the color reproduction on this TV is fantastic. Now, I'm not going to say that it's perfect because there are some scenes where you will see some blooming on this television, but overall, as a picture, I'm personally satisfied with the results, and I would say that the TV does produce some inky black levels considering that it is not a OLED television. In case you wondered, I want to show you what the TV looks like in the different picture profiles. In vivid mode, it's going to give you the brightest picture, but it's not that accurate to some people's standards. And then we have standard mode, which is going to be more of a neutral picture. We have sports mode that's going to really increase the action, as well as PC game. Theater day mode, which is great for watching movies in the daytime. And then you have theater night mode as well as filmmakers mode. But I find that all these settings are going to look really good on the television, but it all depends on your needs. And while in SDR mode, I was able to get 2109 nits of peak brightness, just in case you wondered how bright this TV gets. Switching over to HDR, the TV doesn't look as bright because it has metadata that's made for the specular highlights. Now, this one does have energy savings mode, sports mode, game mode, HDR theater, filmmakers mode, and this also adds on the IMAX mode. And another thing that I do want to point out here is that this TV will support Dolby Vision gaming, and it will support that 120 Hertz if you're using a gaming console. I also measured the brightness on this setting, and I was able to get 2975 nits out of this TV, which is actually really close to what it says on the box, and that's very impressive. And for you gamers out there, you're going to like the fact that it has a frames per second counter in the corner of it, and it will change if you're using variable refresh rate. And one thing I can say for sure is that Hisense has some of the best audio that I've seen out there. And the fact that this one uses an HDMI 2.1 port for the eARC, you can get uncompressed Dolby Atmos. Now, as far as the speaker system, it has a subwoofer on the back of it. It has a side firing speaker on each side of it, and it has full range speakers on the bottom of it. But here's what it sounds like.
This is a Tech Steve test to see how good this TV sounds.
Comes to my pros, I don't play by the rules, I switch up the flow. Hey, chill on the weekend, give X's and no. She in love with the kid, I ain't texting the phone.
Now, when it comes to audio, this TV has different effects such as your standard, theater, sports, music, and a few more in here. You also have sound processing effects, and this includes Dolby Atmos, DTX Virtual X, and you can turn it off. As far as other features, you have volume level, lip syncing, and you can reset it here at the bottom. So this TV has a lot of features in it. You can also adjust your eARC if you have a soundbar connected to it, and you can play audio only. So if you listen to podcasts, you don't have to see the screen. So in my opinion, this TV has some really good audio, especially if you're coming from a TV that has two 10-watt speakers on the bottom. Here you got a subwoofer, you have these side speakers that's going to give you that virtual surround sound, and I think you're going to be very happy with it. Now I want to show you the remote control, which I did on the unboxing video, but as you can see here, it has all your different keys. And one thing about this remote control, it looks premium and it does have a backlight. But enough about that, it's TV testing time. The first thing I will show you is motion on this TV at 24 frames per second. Now, most TVs at 24 frames per second are not the smoothest TVs because this setting is made for movies to give it that slow cinematic look, but this TV is doing a great job. When I switched over to 60 frames per second, the TV's still doing a great job, but keep in mind this TV does have clarity controls where you can change the judder as well as the blur reduction to make it a lot smoother, but this is the factory settings in movie mode, and that's why we're getting these results that you see on the screen. When it comes to skin tones, I have the TV set up at theater night mode so you can see the colors on it. And one thing that stands out to me as I switch over to the next demo is that the color chart really pops and the colors are really saturated and very natural. You can also see the black levels and the contrast ratios. So this TV actually produces a really good picture. And as I mentioned earlier, you may see some blooming on this television, but in my case, I only saw it when I was in HDR mode and I was on a black screen with the TV at high brightness. But I feel that everyday TV watching, you might see it here and there, but blooming actually works pretty good on this TV. Just be aware that you may see it on certain contents at certain times. Now I want to show you the uniformity of this U7Q. First of all, most TVs are not perfect no matter how much you spend on them. But I want to show you how this TV looks as we go through the different grayscale so you can see how well it performs. One thing I noticed is around the edges we can see some slight vignetting, but that is nothing to be concerned about because like I said earlier, this is a normal thing for most TVs. But one thing I will say for sure is that this TV does have really good contrast ratio and you'll be happy with the results of the black levels on it. But one of the most impressive things about this U7Q is the upscaling. What you're looking at is 480p content, and the main thing to focus on is the lines around the buildings to make sure that you get a good upscale. As we move into 720p, there's a slight change, but not that major. And as we go into 1080p, this is the sweet spot for most TVs to do the best upscaling. But of course, 4K is the best because the TV doesn't really have to upscale. All it needs to do is display the image and you're going to get a great picture every time. So in this video, I've showed you everything you need to know about this U7Q. Here's the best thing. At the time of this video, this TV sells for $799. Now it retails for $14.99, but if you can catch it at $7.99, I think it's a steal. But let's talk about my opinion. I think that it has everything that you need in a television, from the colors to the 4 HDMI inputs to the audio. And I like the fact that it has that nice inky look on it, but it all depends on your content. Just keep that in mind. I like the fact that it has this small centered base on it so you can put it anywhere you like, and the fact that it has 5 speakers in it. It's really a good value. Now, the downsides of it, you will see some blooming from time to time. I just got to be honest about that. But other than that, I think it's a really decent television, especially for the price point. If you guys are interested in learning more, I'll leave all the links that you need in the description below. I'm Tech Steve. Thanks all for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.